And good morning. We're live on YouTube and, well, just YouTube right now. So we're going to bring in Twix and we're going to bring Atlanta Falcons on SI, our Facebook group. We're going to get going here in just a second on another soggy Monday. Cool. It's unseasonably cool. I'm afraid of what September is going to be like. Welcome in, everybody. This is the Falcons Podcast. It is Monday. It is the Monday after a game week. We got to see a shortened game, but thankfully all seems to be well after Maurice Norris had a horrible scare and they cut the game short. We can get into that a little bit, but I think that's been covered pretty well. He's doing better, was over at Grady and all that type of stuff. Thought it was cool that they cut the game short and then finally got the word. It's like, y'all go ahead and end it. So they did, but we saw lots of good things out of the Atlanta Falcons, especially defense. And that's what we were looking at. And we saw some good things on offense too. But we're going to get into all of that. But first, let's say hello to Nick Kendall. How are you doing, Nick? It's good to see you this morning.
Yeah, I'm doing well. Got a lot of work to do today, packing up the house slowly but surely. We found a place of residence in Denver, so that's good. Now I got to find daycare and a job. I did move to Seattle before without a job, so we'll see what comes of that. It's kind of a weird time.
I'll give you more work, that's for sure.
Yeah, I do have avenues to make some money, but yeah, we'll see. Definitely sad to be leaving Seattle, but excited for what comes next. And actually, it's going to be cooler on the Broncos podcast, but I did a hike yesterday, and somebody stopped me on the trail and was like, "Hey, I love your show." I was like, "What?" Out here in Washington. So he's like, "Yeah, big Bronco fan." So yeah, kind of shout out to Gabe. He's probably not watching this one, but crazy. It doesn't happen to me that often.
No, it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen that much, period. Honestly, I don't know if people, it's like, hey, we got like 5,000 listens. That's a lot of people, and, but either people just, are shy or I don't look the same in person anymore. It used to happen to me when I do I have a common face or something. People used to come up to me all the time. I know you from, and I just say, no, you don't. You don't. And then once I started doing some TV stuff with college football, I'm like, you might. This is what I do. I'm like, you don't. I just cut them off. I'm like, no, you don't. You think you do, but you don't. But we know a lot of folks in here that we want to say hello to have come in nice and early. That's why we go live, because we like having the conversation with y'all. And I hope you enjoyed Garrett's show on Thursday night. He will be back on Tuesday night. I think Garrett does a great job. Got as many views as we did going in the prime time. So there was a lot of people watching. Hope you enjoyed it. He's going to keep going, and just another addition to the Falcons podcast. Dantes Jackson, welcome in. He's in the red and black. Austin, good morning, fellas. He says defense came out with fire. Yeah, they did. They did. And, I see John Harrell's comment. I was scrolling through this before we started down here just a little bit, so I'll go ahead and highlight him. He says, I was in Detroit Friday night, got to watch the end of the third and the fourth from the stats. We couldn't stop the run. If you just watch the third quarter, you're right. That was when Detroit kind of, just started running the ball, and there wasn't any first teamers or maybe some second team defensive linemen, some guys in the rotation out there. But overall, the Detroit offense didn't do much of anything in the first half, and it wasn't against number ones for the Falcons either. So there was the encouraging thing for me was we've talked all summer, all spring about there's some guys that they're counting on that are basically new faces back to the team. Brandon Dorless, DeMarco Helms, Ruka Rohuro, guys that are veterans. Arnold Ebiketie to a certain extent.
Ebiketie, yep.
Yeah, Ebiketie to a certain extent, that they're going to be counting on to step up and play bigger roles. We saw that. And I am encouraged, John. So good to see you. Always want to say hello to Edward Brown, coming with a $5 super chat. Thank you so much. He says the wide receiver battle for number 5 and number 6 between Nick Nash, Dylan Drummond, Chris Blair, and Casey Washington and DJ Shark is going to be fierce. It is. I feel like you got those kind of the first 3. I'm not sure Casey Washington's on this team, and I'm almost positive DJ Shark ain't. Is where I'm thinking of it right now. And then the 5th, and if they do 6, depending on special teams, which one of those do you think you have the best chance of being able to get through waivers and stashing on the practice squad? That might be a risk that they want to take, Nick.
And honestly, we say this every year. We, the collective, the royal we.
Our royal team, we.
Yeah, we're too focused on our team. And like, oh my gosh, this guy, everybody's going to want him. How often are guys actually claimed off of waivers. You get 5 a year.
There's like 5. Yeah,
Yep.
5.
So, I mean, if you really, really like Nash as a draft pick and you have some insight, because these guys do have some insight on what other teams value. Let's say you scooped him up from another team. Maybe you need to protect him, but you're probably going to be okay keeping these guys safe. And there's also the injury stuff that you have to deal with. Somebody's got a niggle, but you want to protect them. They have to be on the 53. Then you send them to IR and you can sign somebody back. So we'll see how it all plays out. Right now, I think I would be leaning Blair, but that's just, he's been around and he had a pretty good preseason game, but the draft pedigree does matter as well. So it could be tie goes to the guy who has the longest, the most years of control left, who's been selected under this regime.
Yeah, and the cheapest.
Yep.
All those things. So yeah, it is. I feel pretty good about, again, and I like the reality here, Edward, instead of saying, our wide receiver room is loaded. It's so awesome. We're amazing. These guys are which I see other places. I'm like, no, listen, you're right. This is for the wide receiver 5 spot, maybe 6 if they keep him. And you know what makes the other big difference there, Nick? I can't believe you didn't say that. What makes the big difference here is special teams. Mm-hmm. Who's going to be, because they took the other guy also. I don't think we saw him play. They got him specifically as a returner. So he might be in the 5th spot Agnew. With Jamal Agnew. Thank you. Yep. You go. And then remember, Kyle Pitts is also a wide receiver. He's playing wide receiver in either slot or out wide almost all of his snaps. So I'll leave him out of it for now. But you got Drake. Darnell Mooney will be on this team. Ray will be on this team. Kadarius Hodge, you're expecting to be on this team as well. And then they got Jamal Agnew to return, specifically as a return. There's 5 right there. Yeah. Kyle Pitts is 6. You start worrying, are any of these guys going to be able to make the squad?
Yeah, it's numbers game right now, especially with Agnew being primarily the returner, both kick and punt. There's a chance for 6, of course. But again, as you mentioned it, we see how. Nope, Nick's not going anywhere, guys. Also in the chat, I'm moving.
I wanted to hit that from Michael Baxter. He says hello, and then is Nick leaving? No, Nick's leaving Seattle. He's moving closer to us, so he won't have to get quite as early because he'll be one time zone over in Denver doing the Falcons podcast with us.
Yep. No, I'm moving locations, but content is still going to be contenting. But yeah, wide receiver 5 and 6. As you mentioned, Scott, the reps for special teams probably matter as much, if not more so, than what they're doing against 3rd and 4th string defensive talent right now. That's just the name of the game when you are that far down the totem pole in the wide receiver room.
But I did, and speaking of Denver, moving to Denver, Luke. Good morning, Nick and Scott. And he's got the coffee emojis. I'll drink to that. Good to see you, Denver. Thank you for the super chat and the support. And the thing that I really liked about that, though, is yes, it was they're going against back end guys, but they were making first string type of plays. It wasn't just we're scheming these guys up or they're wide open. They were making some really tough catches at times and catches in traffic and that type of stuff. Now, the back end of the secondary makes me more nervous, but we'll get into that as well. Curtis Case is here already, coming in hot with a super chat. Thank you, Mr. Case. He says, morning, Scott and Nick, praying for the Lions safety. Maurice Norris. And again, the report on Friday night, early Saturday morning, whatever you call it, it's not until the sun comes up, it's still Friday night for me. It was that, he had all the movement. He made an Instagram post, so everything was okay. And I didn't realize that because I didn't watch it live, had softball Friday night. And then I came back and watched it a couple of times. That they actually, how they decided to end the game wasn't like, hey, what are we going to do? Let's do this. They snapped the ball. So we'll just snap the ball and we'll just let the clock run for 15 minutes. We're out of here. Until they finally got the call and said, no, this game's over, which was about 8 minutes later. So very cool. The right thing to do for sure. Get out, let everybody chill. It's for the back end roster guys, I think even they understand, like, this was my chance to get out and play. I might not be able to get out here again. I think they understand too. So definitely prayers there, and prayers for all these guys. At times I feel a little guilty that I've made a really good living off this sport that is just so dangerous. It is the only sport And I'm glad that guaranteed contracts are becoming more of a thing too, because it's the only sport that's too dangerous to play. You've got spring training in baseball. You've got, exhibition games in basketball. You got friendlies in soccer. You spar in boxing and UFC. But by God, we don't want to play anything that isn't an actual game in football because it's too risky that somebody's going to get hurt. It is. And I will always, always, always be pro player when it comes to the economics of this game for that very reason. So thinking of all of them out there, what do we say every game, every week about preseason stuff? Just no injuries, man. Just everybody get through healthy. It's tough out there, y'all.
Yep. I will say to that point, it's a risk, but there's fame and fortune to be had out there. Nobody's forcing anybody to play.
Yeah.
So it's tough. But you're right. Definitely a pro player. But it's the chance that many of them of a lifetime. So, I mean, gosh, if I could be the quarterback of some team, I definitely would love to. But unfortunately, born 6 foot, 180 pounds. So more for hiking than quarterbacking or anything like that. But no, yeah, it's
I'm a better sideline quarterback there. So
yeah, exactly. So I'm very happy sitting underneath my little blankie here in the basement here talking football. Atlanta Jet Jones 499. Good morning, Scott and Nick. Been busy with the newborn. Well, congrats to you. Hope everybody's healthy. Hope you have some family support and people stepping up during that time because it's a whirlwind. Haven't joined in a couple of weeks. Well, that's okay. I'll tell you what, podcasts, we're there after the fact too. And if you're up late with a screaming baby and feel like you're going to fall asleep holding the kid, podcast in your ear helps a lot. So hoping Nick's wife made a full recovery. She's doing a lot better from whatever that month of June was just lost. She's still not 100% because she's bedridden. So she's really weak and fatigued still, but one day at a time.
Yep. And good rocking chair, a good time to listen. Mm-hmm. So Jet Jones, congratulations. That's pretty awesome. Summer baby. You can start them on time. Mine started in August. In fact, I'm between 2 birthdays right now. I got a 16-year-old junior. He turned 16 last week. And then my freshman, who's still 13, she turns 14 on Wednesday. So summer birthdays here. So it is that time of year. So congratulations, Jet Jones. Appreciate you being here. Couple of questions I wanted to Ray Easton, stick it in my end zone. Ray Moon, that feels like a new name. I like it. I don't mind that at all. Let's see here. Sam, good to see you, Sammy. He says, I hope you don't mean called mine Sammy every once in a while. I says, hello, all. Decent start to the season. Yeah, the game doesn't matter. The score doesn't matter. And, would you like to win? I'd rather win than lose, but I don't care if it was 17-10. What I cared about was, Nick, what are some of the positives? Give me your first big positive takeaway from the game.
That the defense held the Lions early on to 82 yards or something over the first. I don't remember what the length of time was, but the defense looked good. Ebiketie out there played well, and I felt like maybe it was quietly. Granted, I'm not as deep in the Falcons Twitterverse, but James Pierce also, I think, had 3 pressures recorded as well. And so you had a bunch of young defensive guys, I felt like, step up on the defensive line. Really excited to see that. But yeah, Ebiketie, I know we've been a lot about Jalen Walker and Pierce this offseason, understandably, rightfully so. But Ebiketie still might be the leader in the house in the edge room, and he showed that.
So what was interesting to me is how are these guys going to go out? And the depth chart started with that 2-4-5 nickel is what the depth chart was looking at. I'm like, no, I don't care what the depth chart says. I haven't seen a thing this summer that leads me to believe that that's going to be their base defense. You know what they came out of, Nick? I don't know if you noticed, but I was watching formations in the first half about as much as anything. They came out in that 3-3-5, the Ryan Nielsen 3-3-5, which was 3 down linemen with a stand-up edge, which was Ebiketie at that point. Now, is that what you want to do? Which I like. I'm good with that. Again, in Atlanta they went to a 2-man 2 stand-up edge. They went to a 2-4-5 last year, and then they split them wide, so there was no way they couldn't stop anything.
No,
on 1st and 10, and it was always 2nd and 2. And then they'd
He
still
didn't
be
have
in
enough.
that nickel prevent in 2nd and 2. But that's another story. I don't think Leonard Floyd is a 3-down starter in this league anymore. I don't think that's what he's there for. So he wasn't playing this game. So my initial question was, does that are they out there like that because they don't want to start James Pierce Jr. or Jalen Walker yet, and they'll go to more of a 3-4 when Floyd is back? And I was like, no, I don't think so. But as the game wore on, Nick, they went to definitely more of a base 3-4 with 2 edges, three down, 5 on the line. And then they'd go into their 2-man fronts with 2 edges in distance situations, 2nd and 10, 3rd and 5 or longer. Then you'd see the 2 guys down front with the 2 stand-up edges. I'm like, yes, this isn't rocket science, Nick. More bodies when it's going to be a run, and then more speed when it's going to be a pass. Okay, hallelujah.
Yeah. Question is going to be, can they do enough on first down consistently to get to those? As we've been talking about, it's been the theme of drafting those 2 lighter, twitchier guys in the first round last year. Well, all right, this year, going to be as good as you can get to 3rd and long, 2nd and long. But if anything, if this is a preseason game is any indication, there's some hope. Granted, again, grain of salt. It is preseason. At the end of the day, I did want to give out some more shouts. We got Michael Ronquillo. Good morning, Scott and Nick on the Falcons podcast. Great to see you, Michael. Appreciate you. Philip Crawford says we got a great defensive foundation. There's definitely some sparks and that can get a fire going. So we're hopeful there. Did also want to see the chat's talking about him right now, but somebody else I mentioned Ebiketie, I mentioned Pierce. Dorless had a few standout plays as well on the defensive line. So we're looking for hope. I thought Harrison also had a few standout plays. So defensive line.
You're missing the big one, so I'm going to take it. I'm going to interrupt you before you get to it since you've named 3 guys.
Yeah, go for it.
It's DeMarco Helms.
Yeah, I had defensive line. I was working my way back.
Yeah, you're working your way back.
Yep.
For me, as far as guys that you're not necessarily counting on, who I thought looked really good, DeMarco, I've said all year, was you can't go into the season expecting DeMarco Helms to be a dude. He's played 4 games in his career. He's coming off an injury. He was a 6th or 7th round draft pick. Oh, he looked good. He looked good. If I'm looking at 4 safeties right now, and we have been, I feel pretty good about Jesse Bates, DeMarco Helms, Jordan Fuller, and Xavier Watts. And frankly, DeMarco, Jordan Fuller was signed as insurance for Watts. DeMarco is going to make it so you don't have to rush Watts out there too. Yeah. So I was thrilled with how he played and the physical tone that he brought to the game. And it was a bad call. I went and looked up the rule just to be sure about and when I first read it, I missed the head and neck area. I'm like, what? How are you supposed to hit a guy then? You're not allowed to play the receiver. You have to play the ball. Was how I was reading. I was like, no, it's just head and neck. And he didn't launch. He ran into him. He didn't leave his feet and dive. He led with his shoulder and chest area, head to the side, and made a great play. And it was a bad call. And he's setting the tone out there, a little bit of attitude. And the very next play over the middle, what happens? Alligator arms. The guy drops the ball. It was a different receiver. And, may have been coincidence, but we don't believe in coincidences here at the Falcons podcast. A little bit of alligator arms out there as he's setting the tone in there. So I thought DeMarco Helms, for me, was my player of the game.
He had a fantastic game. My player of the game is probably Easton Stick, or Easton Stick in my end zone. He had a good time. Obviously, he's 3rd on the depth chart. And what does that mean? Are you going to keep 3 quarterbacks? I think the rule is still in place where if you have 3, that 3rd one doesn't count on your active roster. Like you get a bonus one if you have 3 quarterbacks. So, but I thought Easton Stick, had an overall pretty good game, moving around, throwing the football, and dicing up pretty, decent defense last season. Granted, the Lions team is very much a team in transition, lost a good bit in the coaching staff, but yeah, I thought Easton Stick had a heck of a game. Obviously, 3rd string quarterback. Hopefully we never see him, but he played well. And I don't know if you remember this guy we talked last week. Like sometimes the backup quarterback play is so bad, it's hard to evaluate everybody else. And I thought that he did an admirable enough job that it's like, no, I don't have incomplete grades for the wide receivers or the running backs, because at least he was able to function pretty well and move the ball and just operate the offense.
So the way I looked at Easton Stick on there was, the questions you get that we get all the time for the people that are, you can't trade Kirk Cousins. Who's going to be your backup quarterback? Well, the response I have to that is when you're building a team, you don't put $40 million of cap money into your backup quarterback, or else more people would do it. You can't build a championship team with that much invested in your backup quarterback. What's a backup quarterback supposed to look like? Like Easton Stick just looked. That's what a backup quarterback's supposed to look like at $1.3 million. That's your backup quarterback. So if I had to win a game, well, would you rather have Easton Stick over Kirk Cousins? No, I'd rather have Kirk Cousins in there. Would I rather have $28 million, a third-round draft pick, and Easton Stick or Kirk Cousins? Give me the first one. I want that one. So I think, if the Falcons get a decent trade offer for Kirk Cousins, I think they jump all over it. And I think as a collective, we could feel more comfortable knowing that Easton Stick can do a job if called on for the short term. If we don't know that, we don't exactly think this is a Super Bowl team anyway, but you know what? Being able to come in and pinch it for a game and getting a W could be the difference in somebody else's job this year. And I think Easton Stick is what you're expecting your backup quarterback to be. Now, if you can get a trade offer, I'd much rather have $27 million of day 2 pick and an Easton Stick. So I think that's what I learned out of that was I'm okay with Easton Stick as the backup quarterback if a decent offer comes around for Kirk Cousins.
Yeah, and he performed admirably. Again, I go into these preseason games having watched some really bad quarterback play that you never are certain if it's even going to be, what's the word? You can even analyze it because the quarterback play or the offensive line play is so poor. But I thought Easton Stick played pretty darn well, and it led us to the ability to evaluate Blair, to look at Nash. The offensive line was a little hit or miss. I wish the run game was a little bit more potent than it was. That was probably my biggest negative. But without the first string offense and without Bijan and Tyler Algier, it's not your run game. So what are we even talking about here, right? So again, you don't want to make too much out of it. I think the biggest takeaway, and somebody mentioned in here too, good to see Krieg get a, was it 56 yarder?
57. Yep. He missed a 53 at the 57.
Yeah.
And he's different. He's got a different caliber leg. I mean, they're hitting 70 yarders nowadays.
Gosh, that was unbelievable.
It's another one of those, all right, old man, get off your soapbox again. But the kicking game rules have to change. I mean, the only change that they've made in rules in the last 100 years for extra points and kickoffs. Remember, the goalpost used to be at the front of the end zone.
Yeah.
Who thought that was a good idea? They moved it back, so they added 10 yards to the field goals. And then the other one they made was you used to get the ball off a missed kickoff. You used to get the ball at the line of scrimmage. Now you get it 7 yards back where the kick was actually made. That's it. When I get a touchback, Nick, real quick, and then I'll hand it over. When I get a touchback, Nick, I'm at the 35. 4th and 5 is a 70-yard field goal. So now I'm in field goal range off of a touchback? Things have got to change, man. They've got to change. This is not what the kicking game was meant to be in football when they made the rules that guys were going to be hitting the ball from 70 yards out, even 50 yards out. 50 yards are turning into 75, 80% made. It's got to change. Too much field goal kicking.
They did change the PAT rule not too long ago. They moved it back from the 2 to 15 or something. What do you suggest? Just make the uprights thinner?
Change the points?
I don't know if you can change the point system.
I know, but that would be my first make the uprights is narrow the uprights some.
Yeah. What about making it a box?
I thought of that. Put a top on it. You never know.
Yeah.
Or make it higher. Raise the because it's what is about 10 feet now? It's maybe 8.5, 10 feet. Because I used to be able to jump up and grab it. Not anymore. About the same like I could a basketball rim. So I think it's about 10 feet plus the pipes. It's a big 4-inch pipe. That I don't know. So yes, I'm happy to have a big legged kicker, but I see too many field goals. I don't like it. So no changes needed, Jack. I disagree. It is insanely risky because of the field goal position. It is. But they're hitting the 50-yard line and they're in field goal range now. And on 4th and 3, they're kicking field goals instead of going for it. I want to reward more of the football. No offense to kickers, but I want to see more football, less kicking is how it wants to come down on this. So I want to see more football, less kicking is what it boils down to.
I just want to see more punts. No, I'm just kidding. kidding. Chad is right too. I did want to give a shout out to
that's Josh Woods is 42 for Trenton.
Yep, Josh Woods. There it is. Yep, 42. He had a pretty good game. I will say again, linebackers are hard in preseason. We talked about it in the chat. I don't remember the name. I'm sorry. I had too much going on here, dad brain. But there was somebody who, for the Falcons, led preseason in tackles like 2 years in a row.
Wednesday, and I've already forgotten him again.
I know. Poor guy. But it's hard to say. But he did have a good game, and he keeps stacking those with good practices. You got a chance. But you're talking, 3rd, 4th string linebacker. As a broken record, everyone drink. What's he doing on special teams too? You're watching for those because if you're the depth of the depth at linebacker, you are playing core 4 special teams. So it's good to have that. No doubt, it's better than going out there and not making the tackles. But I don't know how translatable it is. But a good game from him.
Yeah, Trenton, good to see you as well. And I just he had a good game. I have a hard time seeing him making this team. I guess they'll probably keep 4 though, so there might be a spot open because Anderson's on PUP, so he could be the 4th linebacker and make the 53, and good for him. Now,
I did have a few uh-ohs also. I did want to say here for guys like Stock Down, just didn't have as good of a game, or guys.
I was ready to move on to that too.
Yep, so I did want to say people in the chat are kind of already getting it, but D. Alford might be in some trouble here. Not a good game.
Nickel spot, period, Nick.
Yeah.
Because Cody didn't play nickel, but he didn't play that great. I didn't see Clark Phillips that much.
No.
Billy Bowman, though, I think that's your guy. I think so Billy Bowman's a starter.
Yep. But I think also Harris, am I getting the name wrong? Natrone Brooks.
Yeah.
Yep, he preseason darling last year. I think D. Alford might be in some trouble, and we talked about it already. A bunch of these young interior defensive linemen. Contavious Street might be another guy on the way out here at the bottom. You never know. Again, we don't see everything. We don't see the practices, film room, everything like that. So, but right now, I think Street and our guy Alford are in trouble.
Yeah, that was my biggest concern probably coming out of this is that nickel spot, which is a corner, and that's a corner going to a high volume receiver also. Mm-hmm. Which is the slot guys. The slot guy's going to catch 80 to 90 passes. That's almost like saying I'm having trouble catching a running back. I mean, that's a lot of a high volume receiver is your slot guy, and I'm a little worried about there. That said, I'm liking what I'm seeing about Billy Bowman, but I'm liking what I've seen especially out of Billy Bowman on first down. Against the run, he's sealing an edge. He's playing basically an old school outside linebacker of sorts, who then drops into coverage. So. I think Billy Bowman's going to end up being the starter. And I've said that before, but I think of all the rookies, the one who ends up being a starter first is probably Billy Bowman out of this bunch. Jack Nelson, the other rookie, he looked like a third teamer. When we're talking about backup guys, Storm Norton wasn't out there. So he is your swing tackle. He would be starting at right or left tackle in a normal situation on this. And Storm was hurt. And I've said a lot of times, Nick, I'm very happy with Storm Norton as the 3rd offensive tackle on this team. When he has been called on to do a job, he has been solid. He's been really good. If you got to go to Brandon Parker at left and you got to go to right tackle, you got to go to Jack Nelson, you're in trouble. You need Storm healthy without a doubt.
Yeah, I was going to say, I thought Nelson
struggled.
And so did Parker. Both of them, I thought, not very good. They were definitely issues in pass protection. So you're right. We need Storm Norton back here just for some insurance. Hopefully he can get healthy. But it definitely, in these games, I always miss the starters, the sizzle players, but really I miss the good players along the offensive line more often than not. And this one, you felt it. It didn't really feel like the Falcons offense was out there. Defense, we have some pieces here. You can pull individual performances. I feel like that's harder to do with the offense.
Besides offensive line, I might have noticed it most at running back.
Yeah.
I mean, the difference between Tyler Algier and Bijan Robinson is stark at the running back position. And frankly, I'm going to admit this. I didn't know who the back end of the roster running backs even were, because they're kind of irrelevant for this team. They're not making the team. I didn't really know. Like, I didn't know the Dotson. I was like, wait, who's taking the first snap? I was like, I didn't even remember him because he hasn't been on the main field when I've been to camp. There's just we don't talk about him because that depth is set. Chris Walker, good to see you, one of the OGs. He said, good morning, everyone. Happy despite the final score. Stick played well. Helms, a.k.a. Brandon Dorless. We might possibly have something that has been missing for most of the Falcons' existence, decent quality depth on the defensive side of the ball, because I don't want Taquan, or Taquan, when he comes in. I've always called him Taquan. Taquan Graham coming in at a nose guard where he lined up at times. But boy, when he shifted over a little bit, he was a menace getting in between there. And when Zach Harrison was lined up at a 5-7 technique, he looked good coming off of a defensive end spot too, Nick.
Yeah, man, this team could really use a true wall in there in the middle, just personnel wise right now. You got a lot of 2-eye down to 5 technique body types, but we're looking for that Vince Wilfork, if you will, maybe next year. But yeah, no, I think the defensive line depth, that was probably outside of Easton Stick, player of the game for me. But the defensive line depth, you had guys showing flash. Now, would it have been great to see, Pierce get 2 sacks and, just have a series where it's just him over and over again? Sure. But either way, it all looked good. Also positive, you had Watts and Walker, and no injuries out there from those guys. So I do see the snaps logged and everything. So 21 from Watts, and Walker, you had 19. So getting out there, moving around. I know they've been dealing with injuries, but the fact that they were out there at all and walking away unscathed, it's good to get that over with and hopefully healthier and better moving forward.
Leon, good to see you. Hope you are doing well. And no, I'll just throw this one here. Jack, it scrolled on me. Jack's been in the comments all day he's commenting about D. Alford and Trenton. He could probably use a fresh start, somewhere. Mm-hmm. Like he's not as bad a player as he has shown, but it's in his head at this point. But Billy Bowman is there for the nickel spot right now. And they might go dime in coverage situations if they want Billy in the field, because Billy is playing, like I said, he's playing a little bit of an old school outside linebacker out there. Call it a box safety, but trailing in the first thirds in 10 yards. He's not turning and running too much. I tell you what, Nick, I saw when I'm watching the end of the third quarter, right before the game was over, I saw a number out there, and I had to squint, and I watched it back again this morning, and I checked the snap counts. I think it's very telling. One of their free agent signings this year, Morgan Fox, was, penciled in as a starter. And I don't know. Where's he going to start? He's going to be in a battle with Dorless, with Zach Harrison, with Graham, because it's Rook and Onyemata for me on those spots. Mm-hmm. Those are 2 that are in there. And Onyemata got 8 snaps. And you know when they were? They were in the middle to the end of the third quarter. That don't make no sense, man. If you're counting on him to play, I understand not playing him at all because you're counting on him to play, but he's out there with the guys that are battling to make the roster, Nick. That opened my eyes just a little bit, that we knew he was in a battle for playing time. He might be on the back end of that battle, though, Nick.
Yeah, we'll keep an eye on it for the next game, for sure. But it really feels like only, Arohoro has his spot locked up. After that, though, it could
Onyemata.
Be Onyemata as well. That's what you were saying.
David Onyemata and Rook are sharpied starters for me.
Okay, you mixed up. I got confused there because you said, I think you meant to say Fox. You said Onyemata was playing in the middle of the third quarter.
Yeah, if I said Onyemata, I totally screwed that up. So
okay, I was like, I don't think he played.
No, it was okay. Onyemata and Rook are your starters.
Okay,
and then the battle is for the third spot. And ESPN had the starting lineups, and I remember me saying I think they got about half of this right, and Morgan Fox was one of them. Well, Morgan Fox didn't come in until the end of the third, and he only played 8 snaps. Onyemata, apologies everybody. Yeah. Onyemata is starting defensive tackle. When they go 3, he'll be in the middle as a nose guard. For sure. That one's the most definite. All of those.
Okay. You had me scrolling through the snap count. I was going through the snaps real quick. I'm like, Onyemata, he didn't play, did he?
Yeah, apologies. Okay. No, it's Morgan Fox. He's a starter.
Panicking.
Well, no, he's not. Well, hell, he's not even playing. I mean, and not playing like David Onyemata not playing.
Yeah.
Playing like Casey Washington not playing.
Yeah. I mean, we said it before. Cheaper, years of control, younger is the way teams normally go. So he might be, if you have all these young guys step up, and Dorless, Graham, of course, Harrison, all kind of playing that same, at least somewhat of that role. Possibly you sign him and he doesn't make the team. That does happen in the league. Michael Latsky, good to see you. Why do we sign another safety? We have so many. You have to be able to field 3-4 units, and you're always churning the back of the roster. It's probably just a practice squad potential or just filler for now. So you have, 4 pretty good ones set to make the roster, but you're looking at other avenues to add competition to the team.
And they cut one to sign one. So they cut the Grayson Arnold. We hardly knew you to sign Ronnie Harrison, and Ronnie Harrison has 50 starts in the league, and he's still just 27 years old. That's an interesting. Now, why hasn't he played much? Is his body beat up? We've seen that. We've seen that where he's an old 27 years old,
especially Alabama players.
Yeah, but that's an interesting. If he's available, sure, let's bring him in, and bring in DJ Shark. These are the kind of guys that when you're seen as an ascending team, you're able to get guys like that, and see what they have left, where they might go somewhere else. I mean, Ronnie Harrison would have been a starter on this team. This version of Ronnie Harrison would have started on this team in 21 and 22. Now he's just trying to make the team, and he's here knowing he's just trying to make the team. So I'm very interested in seeing Ronnie Harrison out there, but for 4 safeties, which is pretty typical. Oh, I like what I see. I like what I see out there with Jesse Bates, DeMarco Helms, Xavier Watts, and Jordan Fuller out there. Because even just watching some stuff, it's like, well, I didn't see much of Jordan Fuller, because he was in coverage and he was doing a good job. I was watching him trailing on that one deep play where DeMarco got turned around. They ran a double post. It set up Detroit's first touchdown, and Lamar Jackson gave up too much to the inside because DeMarco had to cover the inside post. I see coming flashing across. One was the back judge about took out the wide receiver. That was interesting. But the other one was there was a drag route going across and Jordan Fuller's in his hip pocket. I'm like, okay, good. That's what I like to see. So I feel good about the safeties. And Ronnie Harrison, he's been a good player in this league for a long time. Now, he hasn't played much. Does he have anything left in the tank? Let's find out. Got this one. They did sign another veteran safety, center Curtis. And this we did this story last night, and Dave Holcomb did it for us. I saw it, and I don't know much about him, to be honest with you. But they did, and I saw he had like a former Jets guy, I think, was who they brought in. But yes, it's nice getting guys that have some time in this league and some veterans coming in. So going in and getting another center is smart. And you've got 3 weeks to get to the 53. Let's see what happens.
Yeah. No, we'll see. You're trying to churn constant competition across the entire organization. It's not just the football players either. It's, down to the trainer's water boy. You want all of them to be at their best, controlling all that stuff. So yeah, good to see them bring in. I mean, Scott's talked about it a lot. We're comfortable with Newsel this season, but the depth of the offensive line is always a concern and something you should be looking to add. I don't think we were overly enthusiastic from the offensive line play in this game. Matthew Cinder, he only had 2 snaps. There we go. Jovan Gwynn.
Yeah.
Yep. Whatever. Kind of a whatever day. I was looking for Joshua Gray. I thought he just did okay in that one. Undrafted free agent from Oregon State, should have some guard center ability as well, but he didn't, really sizzle or flash out there. But yeah, we're looking for just constant churn across the roster. So good to see him bring
Jake Hansen, 6'4", 303. He was originally a 6th-round pick of the Packers in the 2020 draft. Didn't play in 2020, but he has actually 7 starts across the last 4 years as a backup and played 30 games. He played 12 games for the Jets last year with 2 starts, 7 games for the Jets with 4 starts the year before, and then he had a start for the Packers in 2022. So, again, those are the kind of guys I like hearing about bringing in as I'm trying to make this roster, guys. Like I said, when we started doing this 5 years ago, that would have been your starter. So I like the type of guys that this team is able to bring in, and that happens when you are seen as an ascending team, for sure. Let me see here. Great to have football back, Michael. Absolutely, yes, it is. Great to have you guys back, and again, thank you, Curtis, for the reminder on that one. Let me see. I took some notes during the game, so I just want to kind of go through those here real quick. It said the Falcons started in a 3-3-5, same as Nielsen. The first 3rd down, because they held him to first down on that, Dorless and Pierce came in down into a 2-man. And Dorless was knifing in, and Pierce was doing a good job too. On the second position, they came out as a 3-4. And that 3-4 was Pearson Walker. Good to see Walker out there too. Taquan Dorless and LaCale London. And then I'm not sure how many people noticed, but who started at one of the tight ends was Felipe Franks. He was wearing 84 out there. I saw him go down early. I never saw him come back in. He went down hard, like on a shoulder, and kind of hit his head. He only ended up with 8 snaps despite starting. But the other tight end, I saw him just trucking some dude, was Nicolo Kalinick. Who caught my eye as well. And then the rookie tight end had a nice catch as well. So some good things as well. Kiera, you're the kind of crazy person we love. Sometimes I get bored and watch Madden simulation games. I love it. You're probably young enough that you could get some decent old replays of fun games on YouTube as well, that you could find some of the extended highlights that you might be able to do as well.
Never too early to start scouting the NFL draft. There's college, and a lot of times you can find full college games on YouTube. Can't do that with the NFL, of course, but you have the ability to find, Alabama versus Auburn last year. They've got some good ones. Of course, find an SEC game from last year and just start grinding. Troy, good to see you. Nico needs to hang around. Definitely possible. We got 2 more preseason games. Are we not going to see the starters in the next one, Scott? Do we have any news on that?
They haven't said anything. I don't expect to see. And someone mentioned that in the chat. Are we a little concerned? Here we go. It's Clay. Good to see you, Clay. He says, "Are we concerned about no preseason snap reps for the first string offense in the last 2 games if they go that route?" I kind of expect them to go that route. Yes, it does. I do think you get better by playing, but it is a 17-game season. And, was it the Pittsburgh Steelers game that cost you the season last year, even though you lost it and you should have won it? Maybe, you instead of 8-9, you were 9-8. You should have won. That was a game you should have won. And if you'd been better prepared, you probably would have won it. Home game, Arthur Smith terrified to let Justin Fields throw the ball. It was a offensive disaster, was that game. So, but I don't know if that's the one that really cost you the season. It was after the Saints game when Kirk started throwing to other teams' jerseys way too often and not enough to the guys in the red, black, and white. So I'm not a fan of it. I want to see these guys play some. And if Jamar Chase can play in the preseason, by God, some of the Atlanta Falcons can too. Again, it's a dangerous game. People get hurt. They get hurt in practice. They get hurt going out onto the practice field. Onto the field, blowing Achilles and stuff. It's a dangerous game. But do you want to get better or not? And I'm of the opinion, in order to get better, you got to play. So I'd like to see them out there some.
I think especially for this Falcons team, you have a lot of new pieces, new defense, new quarterback starting. The last season, they were pretty darn soft. I think you need to start building that callus, that toughness, that mentality. And not necessarily that you have to do that through playing, but nothing beats live reps out there. So I am a little bit surprised. I know that this has been more of the Rams approach, where they were just getting away from preseason as much as possible. And it's worked for the Rams, but that's a veteran established team. Obviously they're churning some people, but McVay's safe, as safe as he wants to be. And of course, Stafford as well. So I don't know. I think it's if I was in charge of the Falcons, I think I would be having the starters out there a bit more. Maybe not, Cousins, but Penix and the first team offense getting a quarter, maybe even, 1.5 quarters in the next game, just to get those reps going and to work on some things that you just cannot get in the controlled environment of joint practice or just practice in general.
To be fair,
it's risky.
To be fair, the only guy with limited experience that isn't playing right now, I know not to finish the back end of a coffee when you do a French press because it's kind of sludgy. I did anyway. Now I'm hurting. It's like drinking powder. To be fair, the only guy with limited experience that isn't playing right now is Michael Penix.
Mm-hmm.
Raheem changed. We saw Rook out there. We saw Dorless out there. We saw James Pierce Jr. We saw Walker. We saw Watts. We saw Billy Bowman. So on that side of the ball, I think the only player he's really protecting that doesn't have multiple years of experience right now is Michael Penix Jr.
Mm-hmm.
And okay, I understand. This goes back to, as Archangel says, I want to see Trice. I know you all do, and you're probably not gonna, is what it boils down to. I mean, how many more signs do we need that Brilen Trice is not going to be much of a contributor in 2025? He's at best fifth on the rotation at edge rusher, going against Arnold Ebiketie, 2 first-round picks, coming off of an injury, and he hasn't played. And he hasn't played this preseason either in camp. So this is a redshirt year for Brilen Trice. And I think you set Brilen Trice up to replace either Leonard Floyd or Arnold Ebiketie in the rotation because both of those guys are out of contract.
Yep.
At the end of this season.
Yep.
Definitely. And Ark, that's my bone. Next year, dude. Next year. He's redshirting. This year, he's not ready. He's not a first round guy to begin with, and then he's going against 2 first round guys. Who's going to get the preferential treatment? Period. He's coming off of a season ending injury, and I would just think that the bone I have for Brilen Trice truthers right now is wait till next year. He is being set up to replace 2 guys who are going to be free agents, and you're hoping, because the upside is so much better, that he never beat that James Pierce Jr. and Jalen Walker become the guys that they were drafted to be, and Trice becomes the 3rd guy. That's your hope for Trice.
Yeah, I don't think he has to make the active 53 at roster cutdowns to be activated again later. Right now, my expectation is they just straight up IR stash him for the year. It's not even a conversation where they try to play any games. Like, yep, get healthy. You're going to be in meetings, strength conditioning, and we'll have roster spots again for you next season. But I know Archangel is bummed about this. The positive is that you have a lot of young pass rushers already to watch. If it was your only hope,
who do you want him taking time away from?
Yeah.
Ebiketie, Leonard Floyd. Probably Leonard Floyd would be your answer, but
yeah.
I don't see that happening.
No.
Leonard Floyd, Jalen Walker, or James Pierce Jr. No, I mean, it's just there's not room for him out there right now. Again, next year, 3rd year, full year removed from an injury, and your expectations are lower because you've got an established edge room now. That's good.
Yeah. Yep. No doubt about it at all. So, Scott, I'm going to be wrapping up here. Myself some
I think we're going to call it a day. I'm going to hit Troy real quick. He says, how do you get Bowman, Helms, and Bates at the same time? Because the 1-3-man I seen got beat bad. Well, that's Troy. That one's going to be pretty normal if Bowman's in the nickel. So it comes down to Xavier Watts. Bates is out there. He's going to take every snap he's healthy for. Bates is out there. So it comes down to Watts, Fuller, and Helms. And, if you want to run 3 safeties, Helms going to be one of those guys. But I think Bowman's out there as a nickel. Now, right now, I'd be pretty comfortable with Helms out there next to Bates if I needed a little bit more enforcer type. So I think you're going to see those guys out there. I think 2 of those are already starters right now in Bowman and Bates.
Yeah, and Trenton says it's Fuller's job. We'll see. I mean, obviously
for now.
Yeah, we will. We'll see. And yeah, y'all haven't been paying attention. Trice hasn't been cleared for practice. They didn't play him. Yeah,
I'm paying attention. Why aren't they? Why didn't they play him? Are you paying attention? He has been cleared to practice.
I don't think he was talking to us. I think he was talking to the chat.
Okay.
On that one.
They didn't play him. You're right.
Yep.
So do you need any more signs that they aren't going to play him? Again, why aren't they playing him? Because they want him to get fully healthy.
Yep.
So all of a sudden he's going to come in and play and beat out Jalen Walker, James Pierce, Arnold Ebiketie, and Leonard Floyd? No, he's not. It's next year, guys. It's next year. Nick, get out of here.
I do want to say hi to Kerry. Always love seeing Kerry come in with the super chat. Loved how the defense played very physical. I see a lot of turnovers in the future. Can't wait to see all the ones. Also, Kerry's thanks for the $4.99 super chat. She also says, hit that like button, everyone. So appreciate all you guys. I'm going to go get myself some more coffee. And a lot of fun to see football again. It's unfortunate that injury occurred, but that was a touching moment, I guess is the word I'll use for at the end there. And we got more football on the horizon. Really, things once preseason starts, it just kind of gathering momentum here. It's the Indiana Jones the ball after you take the idol there. It's coming now. So until we get out of the cave. So appreciate everyone.
Friday games.
Yeah.
They seem to come really fast on Fridays. I don't have to wait all the way till Sunday. So you get out of here. I'm going to say a couple more goodbyes out of here, but get going. We will see you on Wednesday morning.
Yeah. Appreciate everyone. Have a good one.
Thanks, Nick. Kerry, thank you. And I do agree. I love how the defense played. It got a little bit more vanilla in the third quarter. So be it. So again, they had trouble stopping the run. Yeah, they did in the third. The only thing they really gave up in the first quarter in the first half was that long pass on that double post with Lamar Jackson and DeMarco Hellams back there. So I did really like what I saw out of the defense. And again, what really encouraged me was some of the guys the new faces that, again, Raheem's not holding these guys back on defense that need to get out there and get time. Dorless was out there. Rook was out there. Walker was out there. Pierce was out there. Hellams was out there. All those guys. AK was out there. So, those are guys that I said before, leading into this, I'm much, much more excited about this preseason because of that. Now, do I expect? I don't think he's going to risk Michael Penix Jr. I think that's a step too far. But these guys and these new faces on defense that we want to see. Jordan Fuller. We saw most of the starters. Who didn't we see? AJ, Bates, Ellis, Onyemata. Well, those are four pretty good players that you can add to the guys we saw flying around out there. Divine Diablo. So half your starters were out, and the rest of these guys are building for depth and fighting for spots, and the competition is going to make them better. So I'm really looking forward to seeing the game. Wednesday's going to be a fun show because I'm going to the joint practices tomorrow. The Tennessee Titans are coming to town. I think it's the Titans. I haven't even paid attention that close. I just know what time I'm supposed to be there, and it's tomorrow. I think it's the Titans. I say it, that little voice in your head when you go live, it's the Titans, right? That I'll be there on the Hill tomorrow. And frankly, for seeing starters and the starting offenses, joint practices are 10 times better than the preseason. So we will be back on Wednesday with our report from Flowery Branch. And Trenton says, when will the new guy air a show? Because I think it was Garrett. Garrett Chapman will have his show. Right now it's scheduled for Tuesdays and Thursdays at 6 p.m. So it's on there. So we've doubled our amount of shows. We've gone from 2 shows to 4. Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday is the plan right now. Chrissy, good to see you. She's saying good morning. And I'm going to say aloha, which means hello and goodbye, because I'm about to get out of here and get to work. I've got some stories sitting in my inbox that I got to put up on falconssi.com right now. So I got to get some written content. And but I want to say thank you to our Super Chat superstars like Denver Luke coming in, Edward Brown kicking us off. He's breaking the ice with his Super Chat. Curtis Case, Jet Jones, and the newborn. I mean, he's got a newborn. He's dropping Super Chats. You rock, man. Trenton came in at least once on this one. But he was gassing up Josh Woods, who had a fun game out there. I enjoyed watching him play. I'm an 80s kid. Running backs and linebackers are still cool to me. Curtis came in a couple of times, and then Carrie closing us out. Thank you, Carrie. I hope you had a great weekend. I saw you were in a chat with City Extra. I hired those guys on SI. And the City Extra guy with almost 1 million followers, when I hired him, he was like a sophomore in college. These guys are young. The Chelsea guys the same way. These guys are just kids. They're like 22, 23 years old. They got 1 million followers built on their football clubs over in England. It's pretty cool. So, Carrie, I agreed. Dorless was not my AK. Helms was, the one that opened my eyes up for most. But Dorless was getting inside pressure. AK was getting outside pressure. And then JPJ. And again, don't sleep on Harrison and Graham. If you go back, if you can do another replay, watch those guys coming off the left side when they were in for how long they were in. So check them out. I'm going to get out of here. Going to get some work done to get you guys some content on Falcons SI. And then I'm going to go to a softball game tonight, but we'll see you. If you're out on the hill, say hello. I'll probably be wearing a black. I think it's cool enough. I'll be wearing a black polo like this if it's not raining. I don't do rain if it's not my kids playing. But then we'll be back on Wednesday with a camp report from Titans and Falcons joint practices. Had a blast with you this morning. Hope you did too. We'll see you next time. See you on Wednesday, everybody. Have a great rest of your week.